A mysterious meteor, inscribed with indecipherable symbols, crashed into the world and brought the dawn of a new age for humanity. The rise of the way in tradition, various arts emerged from scholars and geniuses worldwide, all trying to understand the inscriptions carved on the meteor. Thousands of years into the future, a boy named Chen Chang Shang will inevitably change the course of history. 14 years ago, an abandoned baby floating on the river stream was saved by a young boy, but along with the baby came a terrifying golden dragon who tried to kill the baby. The young boy is determined to save the baby, picking up a mere twig to defend the infant at all costs. When the dragon tried to kill them both, a Taoist monk appeared and saved them from death, fending off the dragon away from them. These two children grow up to be students of this Taoist teacher. Fast forward to the present day, the three share a similar story in this coming-of-age tale that fate had decided for them. Far from the reaches of society and secluded in the mountains, a Taoist teacher lives with his two students, Yuran and Chen Chang Shang. Chen Chang Shang receives a letter from one of the flying crane messengers from the city. The letter informs the master that the person he saved in the past is now dead and that he should honor the agreement between the two of them, an arranged marriage of that person's grandchildren and a Taoist practitioner. He tells his students that it is time to fulfill the promise, and one of them has to marry the promised girl. Yuren declines the proposal, so Chen Chang Shang has to fulfill the role of the groom, handing Cheng the marriage papers. The crane sets out to go back to the city while Cheng is preparing for his sudden marriage at the age of 14. Later, the master tells the two students about the 3,000 great texts, a legendary scroll holding the secrets of both heaven and earth, teaching them how to pronounce the mythical texts and symbols, training them in the way. After their training, the two students go out to hunt for food and ponder what the master taught them. But before heading back, a sudden gust of wind comes, making Cheng fall out of his balance, landing several meters below and falling unconscious. Later that night, Yuren tries to bring the immobilized and unconscious Cheng back home, when suddenly, 3 demon wolves appear and attack them. Yuren tries his best to defend Cheng, but the 3 wolves are too many for him to handle. Luckily, their master arrives just in time, completely vaporizing the wolves into nothing. The master does that Naruto hand signs and heals Cheng, bringing him back into their house. Later that night, Cheng wakes up and asks where he is right now. The master tells him he should rest and explains that the meridians in his body are broken and he needs some fixing, telling him it's an inborn disease. The master also tells Cheng that, even though he wants to cure him, he doesn't have a solution, and that Cheng is basically dying before he even reaches his 20th birthday. Cheng asks if there's a cure, but the master tells him that there isn't one. He says Cheng should accept his fate. However, Cheng remembers the heroes of the past who managed to change their fate and argues that maybe he too can do so. But the master dismisses his enthusiasm and tells him to resign to his fate. His master persuades him that in the last 800 years, such determination has caused nothing but calamity and conflict, which is probably what the master is trying to avoid. But Cheng's unflinching determination to go against all odds and beat whatever sickness fate had given him leads him to leave his master's care for good and find out how to cure his incurable disease. A few hours before dawn, Cheng sneaks out of their home with the help of his brother and savior, Yuren, giving Cheng his sword before he goes on his long and arduous journey. While traveling, Cheng gets transported inside his master's pocket dimension. Inside, he has to face the master's trial laid out for him. The master asks him once again if he really wants to go, and Cheng answers with fiery determination. The master tells him that a lot of people tried to do the same he's about to do now, but all failed and succumbed to lust for power, fame, and greed. He warns Cheng of the dangers that await him and how Cheng might end up with nothing but bones during his journey, achieving nothing but death. But Cheng's newfound courage to test his fate above all makes him worthy of the master's approval, telling the master he won't back down no matter what. Satisfied, the master removes his dimension and teleports Cheng outside. Cheng wakes up outside while his master is standing next to a valley overview. Cheng apologizes for what he's done and asks for his master's forgiveness. His master tells him that he needs to pass 6 trials in the capital city, and only then will he be able to read the heavenly books. The books are inside the heavenly mausoleum, which houses all the discovered secrets of the meteor, while also telling him that his life is now in the hands of heaven, distancing his responsibilities from him. With his master's final approval, Chang left for the capital with the goal of declining the marriage before getting back to the business of finding an entry into one of the universities to study and hone his powers, arriving just a few days later. While walking around, Chang saves someone from a fall accident and asks around for the Divine General's office. The guy he just saved points him in the right direction, and Chang heads there immediately. At the gate, Chang shows an item, and he goes inside, meeting the Divine General's attendant wife, who is sort of important to the plot. Just trust me. Anyway, the woman goes on to tell him that she doesn't accept the marriage proposal, even if Chang has the paper stating that the master died long ago, so the marriage is basically null. Shen then proposes to have an intelligent conversation with Chang by slandering him and insulting his status because he's poor as hell and he didn't come from any kind of famous family. She goes on and on with her ramblings and all that demeaning stuff that you'd expect coming from the mouth of an idiot. She also goes on to tell him that even the tea that he was initially offered costs more than him, which is ridiculous considering they treat him with such disdain. Chang's unable to deal with her BS anymore, so he decides to get up and tell her that he was supposed to decline the marriage proposal initially, but changes his mind, probably due to the unwarranted insults he received. Leaving the office immediately, wandering around, Chang meets one of his bride-to-be's attendants, telling him that he should back out of the marriage since his life will be in danger, and that the princess doesn't really want to marry him or anything, but she wants to make sure that he's not going to die just by simply trying to be her husband. However, Chang's decision is rock solid, and no one can stop him. My man's got the balls of steel, I'd give him that. After leaving, Chang goes to an inn for the night. However, an assassin sent by the Divine General attacks him when he's about to take a rest, telling him that he should really back out of the marriage, or the rest of his body will be in pieces. But an annoyed occupant goes wild and breaks into Chang's room, fighting off the assassin and saving Chang's life in the process. The next day, Chang expresses gratitude towards Tang Tang, who is now called Tang 36, famously known for being an excellent student in the city and one of the top contenders in the elite schools. The two had a brief talk before leaving the inn, and then they proceed to test their abilities in the screening prelims of the Heavenly Academy. Arriving at the academy, Tang manages to pass the preliminaries, but Chang fails the test. Tang encourages Chang to never give up and tells him about the Ivy League competition happening soon. Chang tells him he'll place first at the great trial, and so the two leave the screening table as the screener tells Tang to proceed to the academy's grounds. Chang follows Tang, but the guy questions him as to where he's going. Chang tells the screener that he'll be taking the written exam, stating a clause from the rules in a case from the past, which is pretty similar to what he's about to do. My guy, Chang reads a lot, and even the examiner looks confused if he's making something up or not. And so, the village vice president arrives and solves the commotion by giving him a chance to answer the tests, and so Chang takes the test. By the time he's done, he shocks even the examiner for delivering insane results without having the background to back it up. So the examiner goes to consult the vice president. The vice president then checks Chang's exams but finds out his full name is Chen Chang Shang. Unfortunately, they have to fail Chang. The examiner tells him to leave, but Tang finds it absurd and asks the vice president what made them decline a genius like Chang. The vice president tells Tang that they had to fail Chang solely because of the Divine General's orders. Tang finds it odd that the Heavenly Academy follows the Divine General, but the vice president tells him it wasn't always like that. In the past, the vice president also notes that he would have personally mentored Chang, but due to the rules and all the BS the Divine General is up to just to get rid of Chang, they're inclined to follow. After all, the Divine General is like second in authority in the hierarchy of powers. Chang leaves the academy and searches for new schools to enroll in, but each time he tries to get enrolled into a school, he's always rejected. And at last, he arrives at the sixth and final school on his list, the Orthodox Academy. A few guys try to fight with him, but a mysterious figure appears out of nowhere and scares the goons away. Chang greets Lady Moyu, a very prominent lady with considerable status all around the capital city, and she tells him that someone wants him alive. She also gives him a recommendation letter on the condition that he's only allowed to enter the Orthodox Academy, while also telling him to keep the marriage proposal with the princess a secret, as it only invites daggers behind his back. Chang thanks Moyu and arrives at the academy. Upon arriving, he immediately sees the condition of the ruined academy, being able to see its previous state from a brief memory of the place. Chang finds out that the academy is locked and decides to go to Yintang Hall to give the recommendation letter. Arriving at the hall, he gives the clerk his recommendation letter, but the clerk shoos him away after hearing he's applying for the Orthodox Academy, thinking it's just some kind of prank. A few minutes later, the clerk reads the recommendation letter and finds out an official seal from the priest who happens to have a past with Lady Moyu, the woman who helped Chang just last night. The clerk realizes how completely stupid he is and arrives at the academy with the keys, the official documents, and the funding, as well as a whole cleaning crew to help Chang renovate the whole school. He apologizes for not reading, but no one really listens to Chang ever since he went down the mountain, to be honest. Later that night, Chang meditates inside the academy and tries to unlock his life star. For those who didn't read the novel, a life star is a person's designated star, and basically, it decides whether you're up for something big or nothing at all. Lighting one up is also associated with an important event and persons in history, similar to the heroes of old who had similar stories. The brighter the life star, the bigger the role they'll play in their lifetime. Anyway, back to Chang. So Chang tries to unlock his life star, but due to his meridians being broken, he has trouble meditating. So he tries again and manages to make an astral projection of himself ascending into the sky, looking for his own life star until he finally reaches it, shining brightly into the night sky, expanding across various lands and catching the eyes of many observers, friends, and foes alike. Also, due to his condition, he emits a powerful aura that attracts everything, similar to the last time he fell from the mountain and the demon wolves attacked him and Yu Ren. So yeah, his aura travels outside the academy and into the backyard of a particular figure, Princess Luo Luo. Seeing the aura, Luo Luo teleports into the scene, but meets a mysterious man who appears behind her. Apparently, this man is an assassin, and the princess has to fight him off. The fight went on for several minutes until the peaceful night Chang has his disturbed. Seeing Luo Luo is in trouble, Chang chants several incarnations and fends off the assassin trying to kill the princess. Luo Luo, realizing he's the person with the scent she's following, goes immediately to check, and together they manage to fend off the assassin thanks to Chang's immense knowledge of war and tactics. After being blocked on every single one of his attacks, the assassin just goes insane and tries to trap the three of them inside an unbreakable net that destroys everything inside. Luo Luo tries to break out but fails, so Chang uses his sword to slash through the net, managing to slice apart